What's up everyone, and welcome to Clear Talk. As you see in the title, this video is about my computer build. I promised before that I would video the building process for me building the new computer, and that's exactly what I did. So I had about an hour and a half plus of video that I had to go through and break down as much as I could. So I apologize that this is kind of a long video. It's the longest video I have ever done, but I did get it shrunk down to just over 45 minutes. I hope that you can hang in and learn something from it, yeah, just have a little fun and get to know a side of me that you may not know. All right, this is building computers, and the computer world is kind of something that I've always cherished and always loved doing. And so just wanted to share a little bit of myself, more of myself, with you. So thank you for watching, and without any further ado, let's get to it. All right, so this I'm finally getting around to doing this video. I apologize for the delay. At the last moment decided to purchase a new power supply for it, so that I just got that in today. Before I decided to actually do this video, I had already pre-built some stuff into the case, but then I come up with the idea to do the video, and I decided that I had actually purchased not necessarily the wrong motherboard, but a motherboard that lacked a feature that the case included, and a feature that I purposely, at least to some degree, bought this case for. What I had done, I have a MSI water cooler. I had installed it into the case, and I had installed the motherboard into the case, which is an MSI X570, just a regular Gaming Plus board. One feature that is in this case is a Type-C plug on the top of the case up here, which has a specific adapter plug for that's supposed to go on the board, but this board does not have that. So it was a Gen 3.2 cable connection for a USB-C type, and typically a lot of the boards I saw had it around the main power connector for the motherboard, but this one does not have it. So I had to buy a new one, which is where this one come in. So the regular X570 did not come with that adapter on the board, but the 570S does. So that is the motherboard that I've gone with. So this is a little bit of an upgrade from that board. This is the MSI. So here lately I've gotten big into MSI, so I'm actually kind of theming this build to MSI. The old board that I have in my old computer is an MSI board. The monitor is an MSI. I previously have ran Asus, Gigabyte, but I've just came around to trying MSI, and I like MSI products. So that's where I'm concentrating this build. So the case is actually an MSI case. It is their MPG, I want to say 100 or something case, something like that. I can't remember what the case number is, but it is a MSI case. Like I said, the water cooling is in MSI. The board is going to be MSI. The power supply is MSI. And the video card is MSI, which I had already previously bought, and what actually inspired me to go ahead and do this build. So we'll be going with the Ryzen 5 5600X 6-core processor. And then I have become a pretty big fan of Corsair memory DIMMs. So we will be going with the DDR4 3200 megahertz. This is a 216 gigabytes, so I'm going with 32 gigabyte setup. For then, of course, like I said, the power supply is an 850. It's an 850 watt the MSI MPG. So that's what just come in today. So what we're going to do, I've got to remove this motherboard and put the new motherboard in. And then we'll start with the processor and then getting the water mount secured to the processor, and then we will go to the memory, video card, and power. Alright, so let's get to it. The motherboard has 9 screws, so there's like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So remove those 9 screws, then the motherboard will be able to come out. Of course, I'll have to unhook what cabling I have already connected to it as well, but then that will come out, and then there's a face plate that goes across the back for the connectors on the motherboard. I had to remove that and install the faceplate for that motherboard in here along with the new motherboard. So let's get to it. Okay, as you see, it is very, very tedious to get these screws in and out, because it is such small area. Now, ideally, this resonator, water cooler, would not be in the way. Ideally, you would want it out, and but since I already had it installed, I was trying to work around it without taking it back out. So that is completely secured in now, all 9 screws secured. What was interesting is that the actual motherboard, the faceplate for the connectors was already built onto the motherboard. That's actually, I think, a first I've seen that. So all I had to do was place it in line, and it was just there. So that was pretty cool. This is the USB C adapter that I was talking about. As you see, is right beside the power. That is the feature that I was trying to get with this motherboard. So yes, there it is. So anyways, alright, I will continue to make my harness connections. So let's get to it. Okay, so as you saw on that, I was connecting harnesses back to the motherboard. So this is the J audio connection, which is the audio microphone and audio connections that are coming from the top of the case. Then I have system fans here across here. So I have this is the board has 5 system fan connectors. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wanted all my cabling to come from the bottom so that it wasn't as hidden as possible. So I decided to go with 3, 4, and 5 on the system connectors. So 5 being this fan back here, 4 being these in the front here. So these 3 right here in the front, and then 3, which is actually these fans for the resonator water cooler. So then here is the pump connector. So it's the power for the pump going here. And then of course our USB C connector that we installed here, and then the regular generation 2 USB, generation 3, 3.1 for the regular 3.0 and 3.1 USBs up on top. The last thing that you saw me install was the actual JFP connectors, which is the power LED, power switch, HDD LEE, and the reset switch. All right. And those have specific placements for positive, negative that have to be installed here. They oftentimes come all separated and not all in one connection like you see all these as just solid connectors. They come separate in their own. So the HDD has its connector, reset switch has its power switch, power LEDs. They all come separated, and it's very difficult sometimes to get them all placed in this little small section here. And at first I kept having trouble with them wanting to back out as I was trying to set others. So what I did was I just placed them all. You saw me, I got a piece of tape and I placed them all in the order that in placement that they needed to be for their positive, negatives, and everything in relation to the board, which I have the board connector here in the manual telling me which one's plus and minus. And then I literally taped them around to secure them nice and tight, so that I could make a solid connection into the board with all the connectors at one time. That's just a little wraparound, pun not intended, but anyway, wraparound for the for those if you are having trouble individually connecting them. Just place them all together, off the board, wrap them with some tape that's, either electrical tape or some type of tape that, is heat resistant, and that will make it a whole lot easier to actually place into the board. So now we will go on to the CPU install. All right, so here we have the CPU from the box. Okay, so what we have, as you see, it's a Ryzen 5 5600X. On the bottom side, you have all your little wire pin connectors and stuff that will place in here. Okay, so what we do is there's a little bar. This is for an AMD. Okay, this is what I'm specifically installing, AMD AM4 socket. Okay, so this is an AM4 socket. You have a little thing here that rotates that plate back and forth, which will open up for the connectors to go in and then lock it in place afterwards. So we raise this bar up, take our CPU like so. Okay, as you can see, we have all the pins on the bottom side. You'll notice a little triangle that is golden painted right there. That's your placement marker, which you will see on the board. The triangle placement is right here. So as you place this, it will place like so. So we will set this in like so, like that. It sets in place, and then we take the bar and lock it down. That's simple. Now on to installing the liquid block. So now that we will be installing the water-cooled block, just one thing to note: whenever you do get a block like this, usually it is compatible to multiple CPU socket types. We will be doing an AM4 socket adapter for this one, which I've already got selected out, but as you can see, we have several Intel CPUs that can be used with different bracket combinations and screw alignments and stuff, spacers. Intel here. This is the AM4-3, which is what we'll be using, but you can, as you can see also, we have AMD socket TR4, STRX4, and SP3. So there's several different socket types that this particular radiator and water supply cooler can fit to. So anyway, but we will be again doing AM4 for this particular setup. So it includes a bracket that will be placed onto the block, along with the lock clips that go on either side, on both sides, right here, where a normal cooler would lock in, a fan cooler that comes. The CPU does come with a fan cooler, or some do, some don't, some just a straight CPU, some do come with coolers. AMD does supply coolers on some of them. There is a cooler for this one, but I decided to go with a liquid cool setup, so that's how we are going to be doing this one. But yes, those little clips that go around, hook clips for that, and then the secure screws to lock those clips in place. Alright, so first we have that's the this right here, this water cooler does have LED illumination, so it has a rainbow connector that will be connected to the motherboard once we have it secured. You have a cover, a little plastic cover that goes over the copper block, where that will be peeled off. We will be placing this on like so. Alright, so that will be locking in like this. Alright, and then we'll go from there. So, alright, let's go ahead and lock this in, place this into place, like so. Sorry, that was upside down. So, let's try this again. We're going to go in like this, alright, so that once we place down, that's how it will look, okay? Alright. Then we will have our lock clamps, which will be going in right here. Alright, along with our secure screws, like so. Alright. So before we actually undo and place to the actual CPU, we have to apply thermal paste to the top of the CPU. All right, this helps with that heat transfer to happen more efficiently. Okay, so that's what. So first we will apply some thermal paste. We'll do a little circle in the center, like so. So what they tend to do is tell you to just put a little circle in the middle and then apply the block, and as you apply the block, the pressure of securing the block will spread that thermal paste across the CPU. I tend to be a little bit more old school, so I actually like to make sure that the thermal paste is actually evenly and solidly applied across the entire CPU beforehand. So the way I do that is I get something like a paper towel, fold it up like this, and I will take it and actually just spread it across the entire top surface of the CPU. So here we go. Some will probably consider that overkill, but like I said, I'm a little old school when it comes to that. I like to make sure that it is actually applied completely over the CPU. So now we will then remove the plastic seal from the block, line the block over the CPU, like so. We'll lock it down. Then we have the actual rainbow connections that we have to now route and install. I ran the rainbow connection back through and connected it up here at the top at the rainbow 1 connector. So we have 2 rainbow connectors now, one for this one and then one for these that is going here. Well, actually it's for this one, actually controls all of these. So those rainbow connectors, what they do is allow you to, with a program, control the LEDs in the fans to do different different movements and motions and stuff, if you like them, you know, to either pulse or to like flow in a different direction, or they can even bounce around in different ways. So it gives you kind of a play control with it, and with several different settings, you know, to customize it the way you would like for your LEDs in the computer to run and work how you want your presentation that you want to give in your CPU. So next we will be installing the memory DIMMs here. So let's get to that. Now we have our memory DIMMs that we will be installing. Okay, they look like this. All right, so we will be installing them here. You have 4 slots, 4 expansion slots for memory. We're only going to be using 2. And in this particular setup, you'll see on the board it has DIMM 1, DIMM 2, DIMM 1, DIMM 2. So those are for the different channels. So you have a channel A and a channel B. Okay. So your DIMM 1 would be channel A, DIMM 2s will be channel B. But what this their particular setup is that you always insert in DIMM 2 first. So what we'll be doing is we'll be inserting these into the DIMM 2 slots, which you have little clips on each side. All right, so these are unlocked. They pull up when they're locked. So I have DIMM 1s locked right now and DIMM 2s open. So as you press the DIMM into the slot, those locks should automatically lock in as you put pressure to secure them into the board. All right, so let's show. So right now we're going to install into the first one here. You have in these, you'll see that this section here is smaller than this section. So as you see here, this top section is a little bit longer. You have a little bit shorter, so that would show you automatically which direction you should be going. So we'll insert into these little slots that are on each side where the locks are. And then you press, and you hear the clicks. That was the locks locking in to lock the DIMM into the board. And now we go to the second one. Same thing applies. Slide into the slot, press down, you hear the locks. All right, make sure that they did lock into. You'll see that the DIMMs cannot come back out. All right, so that is now installed. Well, let's go on to the video card. All right, so here is our video card. What I have decided to use for this setup, which, like I said before, is what actually inspired me to build this setup, because I realized that this video card, its capabilities were way beyond what the old system was actually able to offer. So with this one, it is capable with PCI Express 4.0. My old system, the best it had was 3.0. This particular one can run 4.0, so this is what we will be going with. This is a MSI Radeon 6700 XT, okay? So it's an AMD 6700 XT, all right? So what you see, it has a double. You have little slots here on the side that can be removed for your expansion slots. Your PCI Expresses are here, all right? This is the 4.0, and this is a 4.0. This one right here is, I believe, a 3.0 or 2.0, one or the other. And this is a 1. All right, so this is a PCI Express 1, which would be used more for like smaller, like, and adding on a Wi-Fi adapter or Bluetooth adapter, something like that, or some type of extra installation for that you're wanting to add to the computer. Even maybe more hard drive slots or something like that. You can insert that there as an expansion, but this will be inserted into this first slot, this first PCIe 4.0 slot. We have just like with the DIMM, it has a lock clip right here. So we'll have to remove these first two brackets to open up the spacing for the back side. Then we'll be inserting the card into the slot with these here. This will be inserted in here. All right. And then locked in. So let's get to it. All right, so now we have installed the video card. As you may have seen, I actually removed the wrong slot. This first slot actually lines up with the M2 M.2 slots. Not understanding why that was the case, but I guess because some boards, the slot arrangement probably can go up to there for PSIs and stuff like that. Sometimes, well, some slots will, some boards will probably have a PSI 1 slot right there, where this one actually has an M.2 connector there for a M.2 hard drive, which was what I will be installing in this. So whenever I remove the hard drives from the old computer, they will be going here. I have two. One will be going here and one will be going here. So that's for those sections. So I had to move that back up, then place the card into the slot and put the screws in to secure them back down. So as you can see, sometimes it's very tedious for me to actually do that. I do have big fingers, so it's hard sometimes for me to get that placement in there. I fumble sometimes with the screws, but you know, it's just how it is. So now we can go and now we can actually install our power supply and start then running our power cables and getting them placed in. So let's do it. All right, so I have, as you see, I've flipped the case over. So now you're seeing the back side of the motherboard where all the cabling is running. So this is to show you how messy it can be. I've got this about as tidied up as I can get it at the moment. I do plan on trying to work a little bit more of the cables and and lock them in with cable ties, because I want to hold this cable up. So I'll be running this tie here to lock this. Try that again. I'll be locking this cable in here with this tie. Probably both of these cables right here, so that they will be held up and in place. It's a little small tie, not much to it, but like so. Alright, and then you can use some scissors or a knife, one, two, cut that. Alright, the excess off. So now that's tied up. Okay, so our cable work is all here. This is the rainbow kind of hub board right here, control board, where all the LED cabling for the fans is going into. So it kind of, it's like a control board for all the LEDs. And then this is the power that's running out and into the board on the front side. So that was brand new to me and interesting. I haven't used a case this in depth with LED work, so that was interesting to learn about. So yes, now we'll take the power supply, all right, which is this. Okay, this is a modular supply where you can connect whatever cables you need and only the cables you need. So it makes it much more condensed, less cable work to have to try to hide or whatever the case. So the fan, all right, will be pointed down to the bottom of the case like so, all right, so that it will go into the case from the back side here and slide in to the back. All right, and we have 6 screws that will be secured into the back side here. I don't know how well, you probably can't see it, but so we'll be securing these 6 screws in on this back side. Okay, so I did lie a little bit. I actually only needed 4, so that's good. Some power supplies have their secure points in different placements. There is 6 possible placements for it. This one only needed 4. Most I think only need 4. I was having a little bit of a brain thing there, but yes, most of them only need 4. They just have different placements sometimes. So that is now secured in nice and tight. So now we will flip it back over, and I will start to design out what cabling and what locations that I need to take the cables. Alright, so for our setup, we will be needing a main motherboard cable, which is this cable right here. Alright, it's a very intense, massive cable. This will be going in right here, and then I'll be going through this slot and down to the power supply on the back side. Then we have 2 CPU powers, power 1 and power 2. Okay, so the power 1 is a 4 slot, which I will be using this cable for. It is a solid 4 slot CPU cable. Alright, and then this is a dual for, because some CPU cables, or you can use this as a 4 slot or an 8 slot. Well, this, okay, is an 8 slot, sorry. The first one is an 8 slot, and the other one is a 4 slot. So I'll be taking just one of these into the second one, and then running the rest of the cable through and down to the CPU. And then we have 2 powers for the PCI Express for the video card itself. So then we have 2 PCI Express cables that will have 8 connectors, 2 of them going right here and here, and we'll be routing those. I will more than likely be routing them either probably down and through one of these slots in the bottom here, and then down to the CPU. So let's get started. Okay, so I had to actually play around with that for a minute to actually decide on how I wanted those cables to route. I will show that to you once we get these connected and locked into the power supply. But so here we have this is the motherboard cable here. Here are the PCI Express cables, and here are the CPU cables. Alright, so I apologize, my phone started to die, so I had to put on the charger and pause for a little bit. But I was able to complete all the cable run in the back to the power supply. I had to reroute or flip around the main CPU power because I had the wrong end going through. And then set these. I got all the cabling tied up nice and neat in the back. I guess I can show you that real quick. Alright, so as you can see, I ran these power through here, going around to the power supply. I kind of tightened up and tied some of these through here to try to neat them all up. Make them a little neater. Tied this through here just to keep these openings open for air and stuff to go through. The cover has air vents through this whole panel side, so I wanted those as open as much as possible. So this is all as flat as I can get it, pretty much, and tied up as well as I can get it. So all the cabling is done. And everything is into the power supply. So then it's just placing the cover back on, locking it in place, which most of that cabling, some of the cabling is running right through the edge here of this vent, but the rest of the vents are open, so that should still give pretty good airflow. Then we lock them down. And that's it. So flip this back over. I decided to run these around the back side of the video card to allow for the fans to have full access to air and nothing kind of in the way of it. So now it's fully open for air to flow through the vents. That's more ideal for it. For now, I think I'm going to run these on the lower end, like that. Seems to make sense to me for now. That way you can at least mostly see, because these are LED'd as well, RBG dim, so you can at least see those fairly well. And not be blocked by the hose. So this lights up. I'm not sure about much of the motherboard, if it does or not, but the fans all, so we have full opening here for airflow coming through the front side. We have vents here front. Well, no, these don't have. We have front vents here through the sides and vents on the other side that draw air in and through here. These are completely open. Air should be flowing out here, so air comes in and then flows out here. That's the flow of air, so it's in and then out. Here it's in through here and then out, so it passes the air out through the back side here. This will also draw a lot of that air as well. The vacuum that these four cause will also bring air through these as well. So it's just all the air coming through both front, through the sides, taking it out through the back side and through the top. So that's the airflow. So yeah, that's everything's as tidy as it can get. So now the only thing left to do is install the hard drives. So like I said, those will go here and here. So how about we get to that? So to kind of give you a side-by-side of what we are going to, this is the old computer and this is the new. All right, so as you can see, the case is a little taller and actually looks to be actually a little thinner in this in depth, a little shallower in depth, but taller and wider. I'm just trying to go to a new, more up-to-date, modern case with more capabilities for today's technology. So now I'm going to take the hard drive, which this is the M.2 right here, and then I have another M.2 right here on an expansion slot because this board only had one M.2, but this motherboard does have the slots for two, so we'll be moving those two into these two slots. So let's get to it. Okay, so we have taken the hard drives from the old computer and installed them in the new one. For the front, the main one will go up here in the first slot. This board comes with heat shield like type covers to help to expel heat from the hard drive. The top one I am not going to install though. This particular hard drive does have LEDs, or is an RGB hard drive, so it glows and creates, you know, color patterns and stuff. So I will be leaving that one open for that reason. But the lower one that was for documents and stuff, I did use that one. As you may have seen, I pulled the little plastic protector for the heat shield stuff off and placed that in, so it is nice and secured over that hard drive. So now the computer is completed as far as all installation parts, all components. So now it's just hooking it up to everything that's in there, the monitor, keyboard, mouse, all those things, and turning it on for the first time. The last component for the actual case is it has a glass, tempered glass door. It is hinged on the back. So I install those, or install this. Like that. So has a open door like so. Okay, so we are currently booted up for the first time. It did power on. All right, so as you can see, everything is except for the fans. I believe I'll get the fans going here for long. Okay, so it took a little bit of booting and for the BIOS to read all the components, Windows, and set up the drives properly, and Windows come up and update for the components and all that. But it seems to, at this moment, it's booted up. I do need to, I just realized I need to hook the Wi-Fi antennas to the back of the computer. I didn't do that. And then so we can set up the internet connection, the Wi-Fi stuff, and get to checking all the device stuff. But so far, let's see, if we, let's see, look here, about, so as you see, it has the AMD Ryzen 56X 6 core running at 3.7, 32 gigs, so all the memory is reading fine, the heart processor is reading fine. So yeah, that's a good start. That's good. Right now the fan LEDs are not coloring. I have to figure out why. I'm not sure. Like I said, that LED RBG like control board in the back, maybe I didn't hook something completely upright, or maybe there's something to do in the BIOS, because I haven't went into the BIOS yet to check any settings in there. Maybe that's where that controls, but I will look into that and try to get that figured out and give you an update. Alright, so at the moment this is what we've got. It took me a little bit. I finally figured out that the reason why the case lighting was not working was because an SATA power source needed to be made, and I didn't realize that that needed to be made. So I got that plugged into the power supply, so it is now powering the LEDs. So that was the problem. It wasn't getting power to the LEDs. But yes, to give you an up close, yes, all of them are pulsating. The 3 front ones, the 3 upper ones on the resonator, the line down through here in the back. I had to install a program for the memory DIMMs from Corsair, the IQ program. That's one running the DIMMs because the MSI program would not run the DIMM for some reason. It was only running the CPU hard, the SSD, and the video card. So I've got those on steady right now. This is marqueed, and this is like a marquee type of thing too, while the rest of it's pulsating. I'm probably going to continue to play with the setup as far as floating and movement and stuff like that, but that's pretty much it. Alright, well that concludes the computer build video, and like I said, I hope that you actually got something from it, learned something, had a little fun with it. If you've lasted this long, thank you. That was pretty awesome. Like I said, even if it was the smallest little thing, like, you know, maybe you want to actually change the CPU in your computer, hopefully that part helped you. Or memory, you want to add more memory to your computer, hopefully that part helped you. Or maybe you want to build a whole computer, maybe the whole video actually helped you. So one last thing I wanted to do was actually give you a price breakdown for this rig, in case you were wondering, what does it cost to build a rig like this? If I was wanting to build a rig like this, what would it cost me? So I'm going to do it in the same order that I built it in. The case, all right? The case I bought from Newegg. It was the lowest price that I could find for this case, and that was $150. All right? The motherboard. The motherboard I actually got from Amazon. I can't remember whether it was used or open boxed. But it was lower than the full price for this board. This board goes for over $250. So I actually got it for $213. The CPU, I bought the CPU off of eBay. All right. This CPU goes for $200 plus. I was able to get it for $172. Okay. The water cooler, the liquid cooler, this is the actual lowest price item. It actually goes for about $130 to $150 for this cooler, but I actually was able to find it on eBay again. $79 is what it cost me. The memory, I actually bought this memory straight from Corsair. They had the lowest price for this memory. Crazy enough, I was actually a little blown by that.
buying directly from them, and that cost me $112. Okay, the video card, the absolute most expensive part of this whole computer. This video card runs anywhere from 380 to 425 or so. All right, depending upon where you buy it from. I was able to buy it used from somebody for $342. Okay, the power supply, I bought the power supply, I think from Amazon. No, actually, I think I got it from eBay. Cost me $102. Okay, and to give you a grand total for this build, okay, grand total, the most expensive computer I have ever paid for. All right, grand total $1,170. All right, so to build a rig exactly like this is what it would cost you, if not more. So yes, that's what it cost me. That's what it would cost for you to build something similar to that. Yes, you can go a little bit less. You can build something close for more around probably 800, but anywhere in this range from 800 to about 1200 or so is what it's going to cost you just for a medium to semi-high gaming computer. If for a more high to top tier, you're looking at 2,000 plus just to build that. So that's just to sort of give you an idea of what it would be like to build something like this. And yeah, I hope that you learned something from it, and enjoyed the video. If you do and are liking content like this, please consider subscribing and click the notification bell, like, share, all those good YouTube algorithm help me's. And thank you again for hanging in this long, and for all your support. All right, so there's more to come, and again, this has been Clear Talk, and until next time, peace.